Okay, so this is DAL Connector. Before I go in too deep, let's just see what this thing can do. I have a song in the Deluge here. The song has a bunch of scenes on it. We can see it's a whole bunch of different clips here. In this first one, we don't have too many notes sequence. I very carefully sequence in some notes. Gonna hit save, save, and let's see what happens. Boom. Wow. That's the wow effect right there. We can see the notes that we just sequenced in, pulled in all the different scenes, all the different clips. So what happened there? Let's go into options, preferences. What we can see is that, under the MIDI settings, we have nothing tracking MIDI. There's nothing set up as remote, and we have just one control surface, and that is the DAL connector. It has no inputs and no outputs. None of the stuff's happening over MIDI. This is just the wireless SD card. Let's start fresh, start a new song, and I'm going to sequence in a couple notes. Just something very basic. I'm going to hit save, save. That's going to give us song 3. I'm going to go DC3. DC, DAL connector, and 3 is the song number within the Deluge. Going to hit enter, and we can see it cycle through a couple things here. It's going to do fetching, it's going to do scanning, then 3A, and obviously we can see the notes that it's pulled in down here. The code understands the idea of the naming convention, so it understands 3 and then 3A, 3B, 3C. So in the brackets here is the title of the song that it's watching for next. This is a feature in the config. You can write it defaults to turned on. You can turn it off if you don't want it to, and you can just go in here and directly address the songs that you want to load. Right now it's watching for song 3A. So if we were to remove a couple notes and we hit save, we can see that reflected down here in the view. It supports note probability, so let's drop to 50% note probability, and it supports velocity. We'll bring both of these up. I will show both of these down here so that we can see it take effect. Going to hit save, save, and let's see the reaction. Boom. As it pulls it in, it's reflected in the clip. Bring this back down, center that there. We can extend the length of the clip, so we can bring this over to 2 bars, sequence in a variety of notes, and let's hit save. We can see that reflected. We can shrink it back down like that, remove those, hit save, save, and we can also see that rendered in the clip. Obviously, we're going to want to work with more clips, so we go into song view. Let's add some notes, add another clip. In the Deluge, this is like the blue section. In Ableton, they're known as scenes. So right now, we essentially have 3 tracks, which are going to be one scene. So when we save this, essentially what we're expecting is for a series of clips across the top row. Let's save that in. It's 3E, and we can see that's brought in as this upper track. We can change the sections that they're part of, so let's cycle through and change them. So if this works as we expect, what we would want to see is essentially a series of clips on a diagonal. Let's do save, save, and we can see the clips reflected on the diagonal. This works with synths, kits, and MIDI, but it's just note data. So this isn't WAV files, this isn't sound, this is note data specifically. Let's start a new song, and I'm going to go into a kit, and I'm going to sequence a basic pattern, save this over. This is going to be song 4. We'll do DC4. Once it's fetched it over, let's drop a drum rack on here. And I can play this clip now, and we can see that it's registering on note C1. DAL Connector understood that this is a kit, so it understands where we want to set the root note as. Now what I think is very cool is while this clip is playing, centered on the notes, I can sequence in a variety of new notes, hit save, save, and while the clip is going, those notes are just going to pop in. So we're not going to miss a beat. The notes are just going to appear. We can do that again. Do save, save. And again, we're going to sequence the notes in. We could wipe all these notes out. Go back to a very basic pattern, save, save. And the notes that we had sequenced in there disappear. The way that it works is that it's targeting the MIDI tracks to the right of the first DAL connector track. So if you were to have some MIDI tracks that were over here, and you're operating on the DAL connector track here, let's go back to song, I think it's 2A. It's not going to impact anything to the left, so it's only going to the right. So if you had a whole bunch of tracks over here, those are safe. We're not going to be importing notes to those. It's just the DAL connector track and the ones to the right. So that is DAL connector. The GitHub repo is up. You can pull down the code. I've tried to provide documentation, walk through the process. It covers what the requirements are. It covers a lot of the various details. And my hope is that at least one person out there, besides me, can get this to work. Enjoy.